Hello, this is Mr. Painter with another fabulous IXL tutorial. Today we're working on IXL AA.1, find the slope of a graph. Okay, what they're going to do in this module, they're going to give you a graph and you're going to determine how steep the line is in a particular direction. Now, before we get started, it's important to note that they're going to be most likely two directions. The first direction is the direction going up towards the right. And when the direction goes up towards the right, this is going to indicate a positive slope. And what that means is when you put in your final answer in the box, make sure the answer is positive. Now, in the event the line goes up towards the left, you will need to put a negative response into the box. So it looks like we're going to start us off with a positive response, and we're going to go from there. Okay, next step. Now that we know the answer is going to be positive, we need to determine 2 points that are on the line. Now, to determine a point, what we need to do is figure out where it crosses the grid lines. So notice that right here where it touches the point 0 and 2, that is considered a point because it's on both grid lines. Now, what do I mean by grid lines? Now, grid lines are these little gray lines that are kind of faded out. And notice it's touching something called the horizontal grid line. And it is also touching the y-axis. So that makes it a point. Now, if you take a look right here, notice it is only touching the vertical grid line. But there is no horizontal grid line that goes through it. So therefore, I'm putting an X through it. That is not a point. It doesn't work. Same thing right here. Right there, it's only touching a horizontal grid line, but not a vertical grid line. Right here, it is only touching a vertical grid line. But look right here at the point 0. What am I talking about? 0. Let's see. We got 1, 2, 3, comma, up 1, 2, 3, 4, 3, comma, 4. So that makes it a really nice point because it's easy to find. Now, generally, if you can't give it an ordered pair, like see, go back to these 3 points that were not very usable, you can't really give it an ordered pair because you don't want to use like 1.5. You don't want to use like 1 and like 1/3. It's just too much work. Okay, now we got 2 points. So we got our 0, comma 2, which is right here. And we have our 3, comma 4. Now, our next step is going to do something called rise over run. You're going to hear that a lot in math, and especially in high school. So just get used to that term, rise over run. Now, the word rise is how many do you go up from the lower point to the higher point. So notice that 0, 2 is the lower point. So if I go up 1, 2, I went up 2 to be at the same height as 0.34. So the rise, I counted up 2. Now, going to the right, 1, 2, 3 actually gets us to 3 and 4. So I went to the right 3. And there we have it. We got 2 over 3. The last part you might need to check is the word simplify. So the word simplify means to make it in simplest form. What that means is, can you divide the top and bottom by any number and still get a whole number? So for an example, 2 divided 2 would give you 1, but 3 divided 2 doesn't work because it gives you a decimal. So in this case, 2 over 3 is the simplest form you can use. So we're going to use that as a response. Now, remember fraction bars are division. So fraction bars of division, what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and put in our answer by using the dash sign, the forward dash. So we're going to go ahead and type a 2. And right towards the bottom right keyboard, there is a lean to the right. I call it like, it's with the question mark. Okay. So we got 2 over 3. Okay, so use the positive slope line on your keyboard. It's the same key as the question mark to go ahead and put your answer. And when you're ready, you just go ahead and hit submit, and you go ahead and grab some points there. We grabbed 15 points right off the bat. All right, what we're going to do is we're going to clear our board, and that's going to get us ready to go. So here we go. We're going to clear. All right, next up. Okay, notice that we are going up towards the right. The answer has to be positive. Nice, nice, nice. Okay, we are touching the 2, so this makes it really nice to use this point right here. So in order to get there, we have, let's see, 1, 2, comma, because on the x-axis we did not go up or down, that point is notified as 2, 0. All right, looking for another point. Right here does not work because it only crosses 1. Right here doesn't work because it only crosses 1 grid line. Again, crosses 1 grid line. Careful right here. It is not quite touching that grid line there. Actually, we're going to go ahead and zoom it in a little bit so you can see it. So notice here right here, it actually misses. So be careful on those because that doesn't work. That doesn't work. No. Right here is beautiful. It has to be perfect. So again, right here, no. Okay, because it misses by a little bit. It has to be right on. So that's going to be tricky, and it's going to try to mess you up. All right, now what we can use is this point up here. How do we get there? Well, if I go to the right 5, and I go up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5, 5 is that point there. All right, let's see what we can do with that. We're going to do rise over run. Okay, so rise over run. And it's just a counting game. So from 2, 0, we're going to figure out, well, how many boxes do I count up to get to 5, 5? So here we go. 1 box, 2 boxes, 3 boxes, 4 boxes, and 5 boxes lands right there. Because I counted up 5, we're going to put a 5 for the rise. The rise means to go up, right? Now, I need to figure out, well, how many I need to get to the right where I hit 5 and 5. So going to the right, I'm going to run 1, 2, and 3. So my run is 3 because I'm literally going to the right 3. Now, can you simplify this? 5 divide 5 comes out nice, but 3 divide 5 isn't so nice. You can't divide by 4. You can't divide by 2. So you know what? 5 over 3 is going to be the simplest form in this case. Now, is it an improper fraction? Absolutely. Now, in 8th grade math, you do not have to change this into a mixed number. So if you remember back in like 5th grade or even 6th grade, like they talked to you about mixed numbers, you don't have to do that in 8th grade. All right? Because rise over run just doesn't work like that. Rise over run literally says go up 5 and go up 3 to the next point. Now, what does that actually mean? Now, if I were to take this in context here, if I do that again, I would keep hitting the line. So check this out. If I go one more time, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I go 3 again, 1, 2, bam, 3. Notice it goes on forever as far as the line shows. Now that arrow means it keeps going, but they're just showing us a small part of the graph. So rise over run, it never stops. It just keeps going. All right, let's go and put that in. We're going to do 5 over, okay, use the question mark key. It's the same key as the question mark, 3. 5 over 3, again, leave it in improper fraction. And it even says right here, simplify your answer and write it as an improper fraction. So we're going to use improper fraction. And that's going to work out for us. That's nice. All right. Let's go ahead and submit it. And that's going to take us to a smart score of 28. Now I'm going to pick up the pace a little bit because you guys are getting the idea. All right. First step. Is it leaning to the right? Yep. The answer is going to be positive. Okay. Down here, not a point. Right here is a perfect point because that's at 30, 10. No. Wait a minute. This one worked out real nice. That is a point right here. So that's going to be 40. And how many do I go up? 30. 40 and 30. Okay. So now what we got to do is check something called the increments. Every time I move over 1 box, I'm adding 10. So if I go 10 to 20, again, I'm adding 10. So you got to be careful not to count by ones. We're counting by tens. So starting with the rise over run, we're going to go ahead and create a fraction. So the rise is up 10, up 20 to be at the same height as our next point. So I went up 20. Now, one box to the right, as we talked about down here, is also 10. So we went to the right 10. So in this case, we have a rise over 20 over 10. Now, because they have a 0 at the end, this will notify us that we should be able to simplify by dividing top and bottom by 10. So I'm going to divide 20 by 10, and I'm going to divide 10 by 10 to go ahead and simplify this fraction down. So if you need a calculator, feel free to use a calculator, because the calculator is going to be really helpful. So here we go. We got 20 divide 10. Let's see, 20 divide 10 is 2. And 10 divide 10 is 1. Now, wait a minute. Anything with the 1 on the bottom is just the whole number of the top. So 2 divide 1 is a whole answer of 2. So in this case, it's just going to be something called an integer. An integer means a whole number. So the slope, in this case, is 2. For the reason that 2 divide 1 is 2. Again, use a calculator if you need on that part. Now, the calculator is not going to tell you how to count. And the calculator is not going to tell you that these boxes are by 10. So that's the part that I'm really looking for you to do on your own. All right, let's go ahead and put in our slope of 2. Nice. All right, now it's going to get a little bit more difficult. They're going to expand the graph out a little bit, but you know what? It's still the same thing all over again, so we're just going to keep going. You can start anywhere you want. It doesn't matter, but just choose the point. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to zoom in just a little bit, because this one I think is being sneaky. So if you take a look right here, where it looks like, I don't know, what is that, 0 and positive 10, notice that it doesn't quite connect. So right there is not a point. So be super careful that it actually crosses both grid lines. All right, so no, 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 no. Ooh, right there looks really nice. Now, if I go back the other way, it's got to cross up here somewhere. So no, and right there does work. All right, so pretty sneaky. There's all these points in here that don't work because they don't cross both grid lines, and especially this one that looks like 0 and 10. It's close, but it doesn't work because it doesn't touch both grid lines perfectly. All right, we're going to label our points to get to this point. What was it? We got 50 and down 10. So this point is at 50, negative 10. Remember, if you can't label the point, it's not a good point to use. Okay, so it should be very easy to be labeled. And this point up here is going to be to the left 20, negative 20, comma, up 1, 2, oh, careful. Every box has tens, up 10, up 20, so negative 20, positive 20. Okay, let's go ahead and plug it in. We got rise over run equals. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to count by tens. Notice every box is by 10. So for an example, 10, 20 matches, 30, 40 matches, and so forth. So from this point to our next point up is going to be up 10, up 20, up 30. Now it is the same height. Notice it's the same height because we had to count up 30. Okay, from there, we're going to count to the left. 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, woo, 70. That's quite a bit of a run, 70. Now, something I haven't done yet that I explained earlier is look at the slope in the direction of the line. Notice they try to be sneaky and make the line go up towards the left, which means this is negative. So we're going to have a negative 30 over 70. Now, the last step is, can we simplify the 30 over 70? And notice they're both at 10 base once again. So it is very easy to go ahead and take 30 and divide by 10. It's very easy to take 70 and divide by 10 as well. So 30 divide 10 is 3. And 70 divide 10 is 7. And I'm going to carry my negative over. Therefore, my final solution is negative 3 over 7. Now, how do we plug that in? What I'm going to do is I'm going to use the negative first to indicate that the whole fraction is negative. So I'm going to press the minus sign. It's right next to the plus sign where the backspace button is. Okay, so negative 3, question mark key, the dash, all right, over 7. So that's going to tell the computer I want negative 3 over 7. And that's going to go ahead and lock in that answer. And that actually puts me already halfway, actually more than halfway to 80, because we're trying to go to 80 at this point. I'm going to zoom out just a little bit so we get a entire view of our screen. All right, so far looking good. Just keep on rock and rolling. All right, it would be important to clear our screen. Okay, here we go. We're going to find 2 points. Right here looks good. No. Yes. Wow, this one's an easy one. They gave us a break on this one. All right, watch your increments. They're going by tens. So we need rise over run equals up 10. So we go up 10 over 1, 2. Wait a minute. Every 1 represents 10. So one more time. 10, 20. So the run is 20 to get to our next point. They both end with zeros, which means it's very nicely to divide both top and bottom by 10 to get to the simplest form. 10 divide 10 is 1. And 20 divide 10 is going to be 2. Last thing I want to check is my sign. It is going up towards the right, therefore positive. So the answer here is 1/2. Now, if you remember earlier, we did something with a 2 over 1, and we called it a whole number of a 2. But because the 1's on top and the 2 is on the bottom, a half is very different. A half means you get a half of something, not the whole of something. So we cannot go any further as far as simplifying. We're going to call this 1/2. So 1 over 2. And it is positive, so we can go ahead and lock our answer in there and move on. All right, we're going to go ahead and clear this negative. It's been there for a little bit. There we go. Don't want to confuse nobody. All right, what is the slope? Here we go. We're going to find us 2 points. Usually I try to find points on the grid lines, but that don't work. No. Very sneaky, but that's not a point. It's not close enough. That right there works. I like that. It looks like this works right here. No. Okay, they cross the grid lines there only one time, not both horizontal and vertical grid lines. That's across both. So far, again, we only got 1 point. Moving on. No. Close right here. See how it's close, but not good enough. No. Right there is right on. It's right on right there. So these 2 points I'm going to use. All right. We need rise over run. Rise over run. Start at the lower point. How many do we go up? We're going to count up. First of all, what are our increments? It looks like we got by ones. 1, 2, 3, 4. They're by ones. Nice. All right. So up 1, up 2, up 3, up 4 to get to the same height. So we counted up 4. Rise means to count up. To the left, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So the run is 5. But because we are counting to the left and it is pointing up to the left, this is going to be a negative answer. So it'd be important to note that this is a negative 4 over 5. Now, negative 4 over 5 is in simplest form already. You cannot make that any simpler, so there's no dividing further involved. So we're going to go ahead and just put in a negative 4 divided 5. And we're going to go ahead and lock that in, and you can just press enter to make that go in. And we're at smart score 63. Again, going for a score of 80. All right, here we go. Next one. We got, 70 right on. That's a good point. No, no. Yes, I'm going to take that point. That looks good. All right. Rise over run. Watch your increments. Increments means from box to box, how many do they count as? It counts by tens. Also, vertically, it counts by tens. So here we go. Up 10, up 20, up 30, rise 30. Over to the right 10. And notice you can simplify 30 over 10 by 10. So divide 10. Divide 10 equals 30 divided 10 is 3. 10 divided 10 is 1. Notice we have an improper fraction, so sometimes it might turn into a whole number. And 3 divide 1 is 3. Because we're going up to the right, it's positive. 3 is already positive, so I'm just going to use an integer. An integer means a whole number, and just put in 3. That's our slope. It's as simple as it goes. 3 is very simple. So putting a 3 there and lock it in. All right, almost on 70. 7 questions later. Not bad, not bad. Here we go. We got 7 looks good. No, no, yes. All right. So we got rise over run. Okay. First step is up 1, 7 to 8. So these are increments of 1s. Now, horizontally, we got 1, 2, 3. So they're also by 1. So we got 1, 2, 3. We are going to the right, so the answer should be positive. And 1 over 3 is in simplest form already. So that is a 1. Ignore that little part there. So we're going to go ahead and just get rid of that so it doesn't confuse nobody. Perfect. All right, here we go. 1 over 3. Lock it in. Okay, 75. We're getting there. We are getting there. All right, so it looks like we have a point here. Not on both grid lines. Not on both grid lines. Yes, on both grid lines there. All right, we need to use rise over run. How many do we go up? And how many do we go left or right to figure out our rise over run? Okay, rise, we're going to count up by 1 because 1 is 6 to 7. So we went up 1 over. We're going to go to the left. 1, 2, 3. So our run is 3. So 1 over 3. It is also in simplest form. So 1 over 3. Now, the last thing we got to check is because we're going up towards the left, this is a negative. So look at the line going up towards the left. So this is a negative 1 over 3. So we're going to go ahead and do that. We're going to put in a negative 1 over 3. And there we go. 9 questions later, we're at a smart score of 80. And therefore, this concludes our fabulous IXL tutorial for AA.1. Find the slope of a graph. Thank you, and have a great day.